Yet, when you study the history of taxes, an interesting perspective emerges. As I said, the passage of taxes was only possible because the masses believed in Robin Hood theory of economics. Take from the rich and give to everyone. The problem was that the government's appetite for money was so great that taxes soon needed to be levied on the middle class. And from there it kept trickling down. However, the rich saw an opportunity because they don't play by the same set of rules. The rich knew about corporations, which became popular in the days of sailing ships. The rich created the corporation as a vehicle to limit their risks to the assets of every voyage. The rich put their money into a corporation to finance the voyage. The corporation would then hire a new crew to sail to New World to look for treasure. If the ship was lost, the crew lost their lives, but the loss to the rich would be limited only to the money they invested for that particular voyage. The diagram that follows shows how the corporate structure sits outside your personal income statement and balance sheet. Corporation income statement, personal income statement. Personal balance sheet is corporate income sheet, personal income sheet. It is the knowledge of legal corporate structure that really gives the rich a vast advantage over the poor and the middle class. Having two fathers teaching me, one a socialist and the other a capitalist, I quickly began to realize that the philosophy of the capitalist made more financial sense to me. It seemed to me that the socialists ultimately penalized themselves due to their lack of financial education. No matter what the take from the rich crowd came up with, the rich always found a way to outsmart them. It seemed that to me, the socialists ultimately penalized themselves due to their lack of financial education. It seemed that to me, the socialists ultimately penalized themselves due to the lack of financial education. No matter what the take from the rich crowd came up with, the rich always found a way to outsmart them. That is how taxes were eventually levied on the middle class. The rich outsmarted the intellectuals solely because they understood the power of money, a subject not taught in schools. How did the rich outsmart the intellectuals? Once the take from the rich tax was passed, cash started flowing into government coffers. Initially, people were happy. Money was handed out to government workers and the rich. I went to government workers in the form of jobs and pensions, and it went to the rich via their factorial receiving government contracts. The government received a large pool of money, but the problem was the fiscal management of that money. The government idea is to avoid having excess money. If you fail to spend your allotted fund, you risk losing it in the next budget. The government idea is to avoid having excess money. If you fail to spend your allotted fund, you risk losing it in the next budget. You would certainly not be recognized for being efficient. Business people, on the other hand, are rewarded for having excess money and are applauded for their efficiency. As this cycle of growing government spending continued, the demand for monies increased, and the tax-rich idea was adjusted to include lower income levels, down to the very people who voted in it, the poor and the middle class.